their parents retired or lost a job, or maybe the student is like before they entered school they worked, but now they don't. For their second year, maybe we can look at reconsideration. Maybe their eligibility has increased. But COVID related, there really wasn't much going on. Every year we get a handful just because of situations just changing as usual. We didn't see an increase lately.
A high percentage of ours is, well, that I can speak of, that I know of, is childcare.
Yeah.
Childcare expense. That's the biggie for us.
Yeah.
Is there any other with health insurance? They usually try to buy. And remember, especially when I talk to the grad student, they're looking at loans because they're not getting any kind of, the schools can award scholarships here at Pitt, but they're looking at loans and they want to keep the loan debt down. So whatever they receive within that cost of attendance that we give, they're trying to budget, and they work with us to try to budget to see how they can make it with what they have.
I think this raises an interesting point that, like, even within our sector, there are some pretty vast differences.
Yeah, right? That's right.
There's professional schools where you're typically not going to be working full time. You may be working a little bit, but you're primarily relying on loans, usually because the cost is so high.
Right.
You probably have saved, $50,000 to $100,000 a year for tuition plus all your living expenses. So you're reliant on loans, and you're going to have a high amount of debt. But then there's the graduate population who sometimes will be, maybe part-time or working full-time, taking care of children full-time, et cetera, while they're also going to grad school. And so they just have a different profile of needs, and also of like willingness to borrow, I think. Exactly
right. Yeah. See, that's to me is the most interesting part, because I know I'm the junior member of this team. Whew, no doubt in my mind. Okay. But it's amazing when you talk to different people with different schools, what they actually are doing or how they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Some people, I've known you from Passville, but it's interesting to hear, because technically, and even though this is being recorded, I'm going to say, so with me, I may be the graduate sector rep at Passville. We don't know yet, but it's possible. So if that's the case,
here, right?
Yeah, stick in there, Rebecca. You could go another 2. So, if that's the case, I'm thrilled to do it, but I also want to learn and try to grow and do more, especially for the grad students. My sector is state related, but we do have quite a few graduate programs at the University of Pittsburgh, and I work with so many of those students in that population. And when I'm hearing different things from like Rebecca and Grace, that's blowing my mind, because would we think to do that? No, because if they go on so many of them do research things that maybe they would need their cost of attendance increased, but they still try to keep within that budget, because again, it's an additional loan.
Right.
So do they want another graduate plus loan? Do they want another private loan?
Right.
Is that going to do more harm for them, because that payment is going to be coming due soon? So they try to keep it, and that's what we try to work with them to say, okay, this is what you have on a monthly amount that you can use. So that's great to learn this and hear this. It really is.
I also wonder, like, to what extent the length of programs influences people's willingness to borrow or thoughts about borrowing, because like Tom, you just pointed out that the payments are coming due soon. You're right. Like for a graduate program, especially if they're, going full-time year round or something, they could be done in like a year,
right.
And, 4 semesters, 5 semesters or something, if they're really accelerating. And, that's quite different from medicine and law.
Correct.
Where they're at least 3 years, like minimum, and potentially longer. And so like the immediacy of thinking about the loan payment is going to be different. Well, Hi, and welcome everyone.
Yeah. We just
started
ran right
talking
into it,
early.
Rebecca. We're going.
I know. If anyone else wants to like unmute or turn on your camera and say, just wave so we know you're here, anything, you're welcome to do that. But I
Yes,
think
please do so.
let's introduce ourselves, those of us who are sort of guiding this roundtable. I'm Rebecca Schreiber, Director of Admissions and Financial Aid at Penn State Dickinson Law. I have been the grad and professional sector rep for the last 2 years. And in, I think, like an hour or so, we'll know whether Tom is taking over for me. So Tom, you want to introduce yourself?
We still don't know yet. Because somebody had to click the vote for me. And the first thing my wife said, did you vote for yourself? No. So,
You just didn't vote in that category?
I did vote, but no. And that's on recording. How about that?
For you.
Yeah, oh, thanks, Rebecca. So, yeah, my name is Tom Damsky. I'm a financial aid counselor here at the University of Pittsburgh. Thank you for the vote, Rebecca. I appreciate that. But as I said, I'm very excited to be part of this because to learn, you know, it's so amazing. We're always in our own bubble in our own school. And it's good to branch out and to reach out to people. And, you know, that's the great part of this with me. Like Regina works at Pitt too. And very rarely, maybe once or twice, I've talked to Regina. So I bet you I'll be talking a lot more now. So I'm very pleased and thrilled to be part of this. So I don't know who.
You want to go next, Regina, since he
All right.
into you.
Well,
kick it in, Regina.
right. So I'm at the University of Pittsburgh School of Medicine. I've been here for over 3 years. I started at Carlo before that. I was for 5 years working with other types of graduate students. Nursing mainly was their thing, but other disciplines as well. And I was the grad sector rep a few years back also. It keeps moving around.
Oh, see, I'm learning something new now. There you go.
And yeah, I mean, as Tom mentioned, I mean, we're kind of off in our own la land up here in the med school. Like I don't have any interaction with people from other parts of campus. And yeah, I mean, I guess I didn't really answer your question back how many minutes ago when you were talking about like PJ. I mean, we really don't increase budgets for travel, except, well, I mean, that was different this year anyway, but like if they're spending a lot on residency interviewing and that kind of thing, we don't increase budgets for that. If they have like a need for new computer technology or something, we'll entertain those requests. We don't do a lot in terms of increasing cost of attendance because we have so much built into that. And so few of them have, I don't know if in the past 3 or 4 years, we've even had any requests about childcare, maybe 1 or 2. Mm-hmm. There aren't very many with dependents. I mean, it does happen, but there just aren't very many. So anyway, that was an aside going back to that other part of the conversation, but
Thanks, Regina.
I'm Grace. Hi, I'm from Philadelphia College of Osteopathic Medicine. I'm on the Philadelphia campus. We have 3 campuses. So we have one in Philly and then one in Suwanee, Georgia, which is outside Atlanta. And then we have a newer campus we're in our second year going into 3rd year in Moultrie, Georgia, which is all the way very South Georgia. So, and we have DO students on all 3 campuses, and we have a pharmacy school, we have other graduate programs, but we have no undergraduate programs at all. We have a psychology school here in Philly. So we have a lot of different grad professional stuff going on, no undergrad, which is one of the things that Rebecca and I were talking about kind of offline earlier. Is one of the big differences that the different schools in the grad sector deal with is some of us are in schools where we are standalone grad professional schools, and we're not dealing at all with any central office or any kind of undergraduate at all. And we don't even have to think about it because it's not part of what we do. But then like in Rebecca's case, she's bound by some of the things her central office is doing. I'm sure that Regina's dealing with similar things where central office is taking care of some things, and then here's the grad people over here all alone in this little silo where they wish they could maybe do more on their own or be more autonomous. So that's definitely a challenge that we could talk about today during our roundtable. If we had only a few people attend our sector meeting yesterday, so I think we're going to be repeating maybe some of the things we talked about at our sector meeting, because we had some really good discussion there. And we have some more folks here than were there. So I guess it's up to you, Rebecca, wherever
Definitely.
you
And
want
we
to
have some
start.
different
And
people in the room too, but oh, also David Eber's here. David, are you with us right now?
I don't see him. Oh,
Yeah, I'm like
there it
talking
is.
to David might say hi then. He helped us kind of conceptualize this roundtable too. Yeah, let's
He's in the
go ahead,
meeting,
Dan.
but
See
he's
him,
not
yes.
showing.
That's okay. Hi, Kevin. So if anyone in the room would like to share, oh, hey, David.
Sorry, I couldn't figure out how to turn my video on.
It's
How
okay. Do you want to do
embarrassing.
a little
So yeah, hi everybody,
introduction?
David Ewer, Carnegie Mellon University Heinz College. Glad to see such a good turnout for today's meeting, and happy to be part of the conversation.
Great, thank you. So yeah, if anyone in the room wants to share like what kind of school you're working at, or whether you have a perspective that's like solely grad or professional or undergrad as well, might help us kind of direct our conversation, because we certainly want to be helpful to you. But if you don't want to speak up, then I guess the rest of us will just start chatting about something that we like to talk about in this area. Maybe Caitlin, can you remind me, you work with both undergrads and?
Yes, at Mercyhurst University, we both grad and undergrad. And I'm Caitlin Burek, Assistant Director.
Do you have anyone who like primarily works with the graduate students, or is it sort of everyone covers?
Everyone assists the graduate students. Our counselors are assigned by Alpha, so they deal with all the populations. We're really lucky that our grad programs are very affordable, so most students can get away with just unsub. We do have some other, like our physician's assistant, that one is the one where they do look for other funding initially, but in the other cases, we're really lucky.
Absolutely. Okay. Thank you for sharing that. All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about ways that we can engage with graduate and professional students that might be a little bit different from how we would work with an undergraduate student who might be more like what we talk about as traditional age, right? Like coming pretty much directly from high school. Whereas graduate students, they might have taken just a year or two off after college. They might come right in, or in some cases, they've taken a whole lot of time off before they come to us. So, I would invite anyone in the room, especially my fellow presenters, to share like if there are differences in the way that you approach working with these populations. And Grace, in your case, I guess just, is there anything you're cognizant of since you are solely working with professional students?
It's been so long since I've been in an undergraduate setting that I will say though, what we really try to do, I mean, COVID made this a little bit difficult, but what we try to do is we try to engage with the student groups that already exist on campus. So, we try to figure out like which student groups kind of that we could plug in a financial aid message or a financial wellness message in some way. And then we try to engage with them as a resource so that they know that we could help them with things. So like recently we have a first generation group on campus that's starting up. They started during the pandemic and now they're having on-campus activities and stuff. And one of our staff members is participating as like one of their staff support
Like
people.
advisors or, okay.
Yeah, like advisors.
Yeah.
So that's like a good way that we can engage with them, because I will say, like, they really want to, like, they're just as engaged face to face as an undergrad is. And they are, at least our students are on campus a good amount of time now. We're getting back into an on-campus, kind of more on-campus setting. So being present is important. And then we do what we call table topics. So we do a monthly table topic, and we do that in the main lobby area on all 3 campuses. We do this every month. And one of our financial wellness staff is who takes care of that responsibility. So they set up a table, they'll put snacks all over the table, granola bars and
Attracts them.
cookies and all kinds of good stuff to get people to come over. And then they'll do one educational activity each
Okay.
month, different topics. The 3 different financial wellness folks have different approaches on how they do that table topic. Like, we have a staff member on our Suwannee campus who's super engaging. She does little giveaways. She plays music. She makes it really, really fun. Up here, we focus on like, hey, come grab a snack. And then that seems to work really well. And we do take attendance. We have a little sign in QR code. So the students can sign in and get credit for being
Okay.
there. One of the things with medical schools, at least with osteopathic medical schools, is for our accreditation, students are required to do at least 2 financial wellness activities by the time they graduate, which isn't very much. But that motivates our students sometimes to make sure that they are participating at least in some wellness activities, and that they sign in and get credit for being there so that we can verify that they have in fact done their wellness activity.
Yeah.
So that's helpful.
So that's from the
Yeah.
accrediting body.
That's from COCA, which is our accrediting body for osteopathic schools.
Oh.
Yes, I know. It's one
That's
of
impressive.
their,
That's
it's one
something.
of their, one of the like points of accreditation is that we have a financial education program and that students are participating in it.
And how long do they have that they need to complete that? Or is
All
it
4 years.
all 4 years? They
Yeah,
have-
it's really meant
do
to
that.
be, so it's really meant to be their entrance and exit counseling.
Okay.
Yeah,
Maybe not meant to be, but it could be satisfied by entrance and exit counseling, right? But we don't make it out that way to the student. We make it out to be, hey, you're supposed to be participating in the events that we're providing you, and that's part of your requirement to graduate. So come on by and do this stuff.
I'm so glad you brought this up, because the ABA, which is the accrediting body for law schools, is considering introducing a requirement that sounds exactly
Yeah.
like this, that discussing it in terms of and entrance and exit counseling. But I love
I can send you the
not
COCA.
making,
I can send you the COCA wording, how it's worded.
I would appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know what, Grace, could you send me that also? I mean,
Sure.
we don't,
Yeah.
do, but I would love to read that.
Yeah, sure. So that's some things that we do. I mean, we try to, like last week when we had our table topic, we had our social media person come by and make that part of their Instagram stories for the day, so that students on campus are seeing that these financial activities are happening on campus. So that's, otherwise, it's email. We try really hard not to send a lot of emails. But I mean, email is our primary form of communication with our students.
Right.
Yeah.
We have moved to in the last, well, I suppose it happened right around COVID time, a daily announcement format, which is great because I can go in. So we're supposed to not send emails unless they are very, they need to be standalone. They have maybe information particular to certain groups, subpopulations of students, etc. Kind of announcement I put in our daily announcements, which can include like external scholarships that come to my attention. I'll post those in daily announcements now. So at least I feel like they're maybe getting a better open rate than if I had been sending things out individually and students are feeling overwhelmed. emails. I would say that like one thing that I have been trying to do more is in my capacity as both admissions and financial aid is we're recording more videos. We're trying to keep them short, and we're creating a media stream channel where you can go into different categories. So we also have topics related to admissions processes, but we have financial aid information too. And so a short video is about, how do I apply for a loan? How do I, how does repayment work? How a whole plethora of topics essentially. And I think that this is really useful for a graduate or professional, like non-traditional age student, because you can make it available anytime. And it also saves you time because like they write to ask you the question, you say, here, watch this video and let me know if you have questions afterward. So I think it, saves everyone some time to have that kind of content available. And so like it takes a little bit of your time up front and a little bit of effort to get the video editing done, but I think it really pays dividends. And, it's great for students who have non-traditional age student responsibilities, like they're working, they're raising children, et cetera, right? They maybe can't get to you in the middle of the day during your office hours, but they can easily, look at a media site in the evening. But it's also great for like our traditional age students who are mostly Gen Z now, because they are, wanting things that are like on demand. And so making that kind of content, I think is one of the biggest things that I've worked on that I'm like excited about. And if you haven't done something like that, it might be good to consider.
We've been offering financial aid. We always offered financial aid presentations, from soup to nuts. Here you go, do the FAFSA. How do you do the FAFSA? What do you need? The information you need. And what I would do, and a colleague of mine, we would go from school to school within the University of Pittsburgh, so School of Nursing, Business, SHRS, or Health and Rehabilitation Sciences, Education, wherever. Then COVID hit. Oh boy. So now we were doing Zoom. So we're Zooming like you wouldn't believe. So I had no clue what Zoom was, none at all. I mean, I know it'll be recorded, but this is my little phone, nothing. So I didn't know how many students would attend, if any. We average about 85 students each session, and we get over 80% attendance, usually 80.
Hey, Tom. Hey,
Yeah.
I can pause recording anytime you want, buddy.
Thank you, Dan. So that was my phone when it came up. So when we did that, I couldn't believe the attendance. Well, here, then I also realized each school within Pitt, and I bet you the School of Medicine, Regina, has this. They have a Facebook page. Well, what do? They're putting our information on the Facebook page. Attend this financial aid. Please get this. This is going to help you. So then you get more students attend. And I think the more information that they get, the better. And, even though I think realistically, even though you get 85 or 100 students attending and you have thousands of students that are in the programs, but then when you get that outreach to reach out to them and they get their friends to come in, it seemed to be working really, really well. So we have another one coming up in November, and we have about 50 students registered right now. When each graduate school sends out a blast, then we usually get another 35 to 50 students. And it seems to work, but that's why, as I said, and I don't want to keep repeating myself, it's so interesting to hear what each and every one of you do. Because that could be maybe something eventually we all could use.
You give incentives, we do that as well. So we do giveaways and raffles and things where, sign up for this and attend, and you're entered to win, a $25 Amazon gift card or a, swag bag from our office or something like that. We do that.
Do you get a lot of people attend, a lot of students doing that, Grace? Like,
I mean, you know, we always want to get more students than we do.
oh, everybody,
right?
absolutely.
And our population is unique, and especially when we're trying to reach our students who are about to graduate in the spring, it's really hard to reach them because they are on rotations. They're all over the country. They're doing all different things at all different times, and they're working. So we always record things. We always send out the recordings for viewing later.
Yeah.
So if we have like a session where someone's going to come and talk about mortgages, right? We're
Right.
going to record that, and we're going to then email that recording out to all the students and make sure they have the opportunity to view the recording after the fact, because no, we won't get more than 30 students total in that event. So it is a struggle, but we don't give up. We just keep doing it, and it is what it is. We get good turnout for things that are organic, like these table topics. We always get really good turnout for that because it's just students there, and we're able to catch them, and we've figured out when they're available, and we do things when they're available too. So we look at the schedules, we really figure out what time they are on campus and what time they have free. And we look at the actual academic schedule for the day for the programs. So that's something you could do too. It's hard when you have a lot going on, but if you only have a couple programs on campus, you can do that.
Yeah. Now, see, I'm curious, and I know this might be good or bad. Kim, Ashley, Michael, what school are you guys with? Like, are you solely graduate schools, grad and undergrad? Like Caitlin, you said you're grad and undergrad.
And you can put it in the chat too if you can't
Yeah.
participate, if you can't be on camera, you could
Or if you
chat
can't-
in where you're
right.
from and what you're working with.
It would be really, I'm just curious because like Caitlin, what you were saying, when you work with grad and undergrad, certainly two different populations. Got to work one way and one another way. But, do you also have methods like what we're talking about, what you do?
We actually don't have a lot right now. We've been, I feel like a ghost ship for, I'm sure everybody is a financially ghost ship crew, but as far as outreach goes, a lot of our grad programs are online. So that's another difficulty that I have. So I would be interested in hearing other individuals who really strictly online grad programs. How do you get in touch with those students to get them this important financial wellness information and stuff just to benefit them? And like I said, most of our grad students don't have a lot of big balance issues. That's normally when we hear from grad students, is when they're having issues with the balance. So it just magnifies the difficulty of being in touch with them and letting us know that we are a resource to help them, get off on the right financial foot, get this financial wellness information.
Do you Zoom with your students?
We did offer Zoom when we were during the pandemic, and we still do, but just a lot don't take advantage of it. Right now, it's strictly email communications with the grad students. I'd like to try some phone outreach, just hey, how you are, especially to those that are graduating. That's something that I've done a lot of conference and sessions on how you actually get in touch with people, and it still is a phone call, even though they want text messages and things like that. That's after, I think, like 8 points of contact. It's actually like the phone call when they pick up the phone is where you get them. So that's something that we hope to employ soon, is just making calls.
Caitlin,
like
that's wonderful. I wish
we're here.
I mean, Zoom, I had a heart attack when they said you're going to be Zooming. I had no clue what that meant. I thought to over the pandemic, honest to God, I'm not lying to you. I Zoomed every hour on the air. Like I would get up 6:30, 5:30 in the morning, get ready for the day. 8:30 in the morning, 9 o'clock, I Zoomed till about 6 or 7 at night, almost every day. And I thought, you got to be kidding me. I'm dealing with it. Was, I mean, that's what amazes me. Like you're doing with phone. That's something.
We offer to our incoming students kind of an orientation one-on-one experience, and we had about that they could sign up for, and we had about half do phone call and half do Zoom. So
Wow.
that was interesting. And
Caitlin, I will make a bet to you that's because they're Zoomed out, because we have a lot of students who so we use also, this is a good tip on how to get in touch with students is we use the Calendly software. It's it's a scheduling software. So it allows you to have a link that you can send to the student that then drives them to your scheduling page, and they can just make an appointment with you. And there's no back and forth. There's
Yeah.
no missing a message. And with people being so busy, and also like more and more doctors' offices and other places external to higher ed are doing this kind of a thing where it's so easy to just like make an appointment and you're set and you don't have to call and you don't have to like play phone tag. So we have Calendly set up for all of our counselors, and everybody has a link. You click the link, you go in, the student picks what day and time they want to talk to you. They answer
Yeah.
some questions about what they want to talk about. They give you some information, and it literally goes right onto your calendar. So it's awesome for us because it's no work. And it's great for the student because it's easy for them, and then they can nick that off their list and move on with their day. And I mean, I would say 80% of students who make an appointment with me on Calendly want me to call them on the phone. They don't want to use the Google Meets. They don't want the video anymore. I think people are just tired of it. And it's so much effort to be your face on the camera. And the phone is a lot easier. And I think people are just realizing, phone is pretty easy. And maybe the phone is not as scary as it used to be now that we've been Zooming all this time. So maybe that's it. But I agree, Caitlin, that like, if I need to get in touch with a student, I call them.
Yeah, see,
And they answer.
Grace, that's a kicker because like we have Pathways too. We just started that not too long ago. Pathways is the same thing as what you're saying.
Mhm.
And for whatever reason, there was a glitch and the grad students couldn't log on. I said, you gotta be kidding. So now that the grad students are able to do that, now, Regina, do you have Pathways up in the school?
We've never used that. I have used Calendly in the past because we schedule meetings with every first and fourth year student. And it's easier to do it that way rather than,
Yeah.
as you said, sending emails back and forth. But I'll have to look into that Pathways thing. I mean, because we don't have the paid version of Calendly. So creating the Zoom session, like Dan Ray said in the comment section there, I don't think I can use that feature on the free version.
Well, if you have access to the whole suite of like Microsoft products, we have been using Bookings. I have actually Bookings links in my email signature now. And I have two separate links, one for my current students and one for prospective. And I give my current students a little bit more time in the standard meeting. And so they can just like click the Bookings link and it's synced up to my Outlook calendar and it knows when I'm busy. And then I have the option, they can tell me whether they want to meet on Teams for my current students, or if they want to meet in person, since I'm in the office usually. And most of them have been choosing in person. And the one person who this year chose to meet virtually ended up showing up this morning in my office. I totally agree. I think that everybody's zoomed out and, face-to-face or even, a phone call might seem preferable at this point.
See, that's what I was thinking, but
Yeah.
it seems the opposite over here. I mean, I swear to God,
Really?
I can count on one hand how many students come in a day. How many
Oh,
emails
yeah.
with
Yeah,
Zoom?
us too.
It's unbelievable the Zoom requests I'll get. Like, can you, Zoom? And then they'll really be thrilled when you can do it like Zoom after 5. Oh, that's happening.
So here's another thing that's like unique to grad and professional students and non-traditional age students, right? Like they need access maybe outside of standard business, which makes it really hard on us because it's like we all need to have some kind of work and life balance. But, sometimes I do have a phone call at 7 p.m. with someone because they work all day or, in their internship or whatever it might be. And also I often end up eating lunch at my desk because students in their internships, the only break they get
Lunchtime.
is their lunch break. And so
That's right.
But like, Tom, are your students primarily on site in one building? Because that for me all of my law students are here in
Yeah.
this building.
Right, no,
So for them, it's super convenient to stop by my office, but you know, if they're further afield.
They are.
Or if they're on their, on
absolutely.
a Zoom.
Yeah, and see, that's a big thing here with Pitt. I mean, Regina, you know, I mean, we're a pretty large campus, so they're,
Yeah.
I mean, they're coming from all directions. There's been, and then do you also, do you guys get like, I know with the grad schools, they'll send me students that are interested in the Pitt for school. And they're in China or they're in Brazil or they're, then you got to straighten out the times. I said, well, I live in Pittsburgh. I said, what time when you want to do this Zoom? I said, I'll do it, but give me an idea. Don't tell me 2 o'clock in the morning in Pittsburgh time, because that's not going to happen.
Calendly is good for that.
And once you
Yeah,
do,
Calendly is really good for that. That's a good example of Calendly is really good because they schedule it and they see their time, right? So like I mean, it's your time, it's your availability, but it's on their schedule, it's on their time zone.
Right.
so
So,
they
like,
can choose, right? And that's,
Yeah, and then
I would
obviously,
work
if none of your times work for them, then they're gonna reach out to you and say, hey, you don't have any appointment times that work for me. And then you can maybe coordinate
Right.
something, you know, outside of the
That's
box,
exactly what I
but-
say on my bookings page, like in the intro. I say, if you can't find something that works, just email me and we'll figure something. out.
Yeah, yeah.
exactly right. Yeah, we do the same thing. I mean, because we try to accommodate as much, and we really do. But yeah, that's strange, because then you're Zooming with a kid and they're in China. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's
It's the
cool.
middle of the night.
you're in the middle of the night. Like,
No, yeah, I've definitely had lots of conversation over the last 18 months with people who woke up at crazy hours to talk to me. I'm just like, wow.
That's
Thank you
what
for
I said. I
Yes,
said,
I-
that's crazy. And they said, oh, this is so important. I said, well, is it that important? I mean, you know, give me a decent time for you. And then it was bad time for me because it's 10 o'clock at night. And I said, well, what do you, that's the part that amazes me. I mean, that's unbelievable, because you figure, I guess in that capacity, Zoom is good because you're connecting with that student.
Definitely.
You're helping the student get what they need. But then I don't know about you guys, but me, once you do real well with that student, you have them 2, 3, 4, 5 years, no matter what. No matter, it's like they cling to the plate. You're
Yeah.
got them forever.
So I was just reading for my class last night, a chapter about like student engagement and grad and professional students and some of the theories around that. And something it pointed out was that, you know, you can think about grad and professional students in sort of like phases of their education. And that phase 1 is like pre-matriculation, basically your recruitment process all the way through the summer when you're hoping not to melt them until they show up on your campus. And during that time, like the most crucial connections you can make are those interpersonal one-on-one connections. You connect them with staff members who can support them, with you know, future peers, both in their class and who are older or, you know, further along in the program rather, and faculty members and things. So any kinds of touch points that you can create will help ensure that they continue to feel engaged and welcome and supported in their program, and are going to significantly increase the likelihood that they can persist through the program. So like we can play a huge role in getting people into our programs and helping them make it to graduation just by making ourselves available for these individual support moments. And I don't know, I think that's such a cool thing to think about, like how powerful any one person can be, right, in the story of a student, and how they can make it through this post undergraduate experience.
Like one example, and I'm going to give you this, and not for anything. I'm not saying because I did. There's the kid I was just Zooming with yesterday. His name is Andrew, and Passford was going on, and I said, Andrew, okay, we can. It was 10 o'clock in the morning yesterday, and we're talking, and he said, okay, Mr. Damsky, we start talking about Pitt Clemson, the football game. You know, he's all fired up, and I forgot to tell you. He said, I sent you. You're going to get a wedding invitation. And I said, a wedding invitation for what? He said, I'm getting married. He said, I want you to come to the wedding. And I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, I said, oh my God. I said, first, where are you getting married? Is it Pittsburgh? He said, well, no, it's not. But I said, I'll send you a gift. You got a gift coming, no doubt in my mind. I'm not gonna go to the wedding because I'm not gonna travel to this. And he said, well, you really did a lot for me, and it meant a lot because, again, he had COVID, okay? And we talked about that when that all transpired, and then, he would always ask about the FAFSA, how to do it, when to get it done, make sure I'm all on track. Then we would talk for about 10, 15, 20 minutes. All of a sudden, he wants me to go to his wedding. And I said, and I don't want to tell my wife, because for sure she'd say, okay, let's make it go to the That's not going to happen. But it's just that you're right, Rebecca, that engagement, that interaction with students, especially graduate students, they never expect that. Everybody always expects it for an undergrad because it's so important to mold them and all that stuff. Same with a grad student. They want to be part of that school. They want to be part of that university, whichever one they're at.
Right.
And that's important.
I think
And
the other thing
depending
that
on-
the other thing that we deal with is the fact that all the students that we manage are students who have already been through a college experience.
Mhm.
So it's a lot different than a traditional undergrad who has no idea what college is like. They have no idea. All the students who come through here have already dealt with a different financial aid office for the past 4 years of their undergrad experience. And they already have like preconceived notions of how we're going to treat them. And, every school has different office, different methods, different way of treating their students. So sometimes, we have a student who already has a negative experience or a negative vibe of us before they've ever even interacted with us, right? And that's like very, very common because a lot of our students went to big undergraduate institutions because they're pre-med and all of that. So like they come in here and we're a really small private school and they're like, oh, like you can just do that for me like right now. And I'm like, yeah, it's cool. You're sitting with me. Like, yeah, we can change your loan. Like we can do whatever. We can get your work study set up. We can do whatever we need to do right here today. And he's like, they get surprised sometimes that they're getting like more immediate service.
And they're grateful.
So, I mean, yeah, they're definitely, and also I will say, we're almost out of time, but the type of students that you're working with, I'm sure makes a big impact on your daily experiences too. So like we're working with professional students. These are students who are going to be doctors. Rebecca, you're working with students who are going to be lawyers. They have a strict code of conduct. They have their ethics board in their program that they have to follow. And they treat it, all in all, I feel like I do get treated as a professional. They come in, they give you respect. They want to, they're pretty good, like
Those
overall,
parts,
because, if they're not, there's ramifications that, we can pursue, which doesn't happen ever. But I think that's a difference too, is maybe undergraduate students don't know how to treat us necessarily.
Well, also, so at the
but-
undergraduate level these days, you're dealing with parents, not
Oh
necessarily.
yeah, and we don't have to deal with any parents ever, which
And
is
so
huge.
like, now I find a lot of the time that if I'm dealing with a student who is sort of on the more traditional age side, meaning they're coming right to us from their undergrad experience, they are less likely to have any idea what's going on.
Yeah.
I'm finding, because so often they're like, well, my parents did this, my parents took out the loans in my name, or, they think that. And so they don't really have necessarily a concept of how the whole process works or what they're committing to. So at the grad professional level, it's like an opportunity to kind of reset that and really talk then about like, what does this look like for you with your career path? Like, what area of law are you considering in my case? Will you be able to pay tomorrow for what you're doing today, essentially? So in some cases, it's like easier to have those conversations with these students who are like fresh and like, I don't have a preconceived notion necessarily. And it can be harder with students who, are coming back to school after having the experience of maintaining a household budget, and they might be very debt averse. They might have a bunch of, other financial obligations that they're dealing with. And so like those are definitely different conversations. So even at this level, there's just such a broad range of experience and willingness to borrow and like understanding of what you're talking about, just like at a basic financial level. So it's really interesting. I think it keeps the job very interesting because there is such a range.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
So I think 2:20 is our ending time. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is. I mean,
I think
I
so.
hope that was helpful to most people who came in and maybe help you think a little out of the box when it comes to grad professional, or maybe consider working in grad professional.
Yeah, if you only work with these students occasionally, as some of you mentioned in the chat, thanks to everyone who introduced themselves there. Oh, great. Thanks, Ashley. You know, definitely feel free also to reach out to us. I mean, maybe I shouldn't offer that for everyone in the group. I'll offer it for myself at least.
Yeah, you sure
I'm going to
can.
put my email will be in the chat. So like if this is a population you only work with sometimes and you have questions, like don't be afraid to connect with those of us in the sector.
Oh, absolutely. I'll put my email in there, but no wedding invitations because I still.
What about baby showers, Tom? Baby shower, mitzvahs, anything?
How about wedding
Can't even
proposals,
celebrate what I got.
Tom?
Wedding proposals?
Yeah, Dave.
Hey, well, as always, Rebecca, thank you very much for all the time you put into our sector, and folks, really, we're only as strong as the contributions that we all make to each other, and trying to keep the conversation going, because it is a smaller sector. So do take advantage of this small group, this tight knit group that we have going here. So thanks again.
Hope to see everybody in person next year. That's for
Yes.
sure.
Absolutely.
Oh,
If you
won't
know
that be
of
great?
colleagues throughout the association who should be changing their sector designation, their primary sector, to graduate professional, you can either let them know, let me know, have them come to me. I'll help them get their sector
Yeah.
reflected correctly.
Thanks for bringing that up, Dan, because we did touch on this yesterday, but it's a different group. So also remember that if you work primarily with another sector, you can choose a secondary sector now in those drop downs, and you can select grad professional as your secondary sector.
I
So you won't get to
created that
vote.
just for you.
You won't get to vote, you know, for Tom to represent us, but you will get to hear about what's going on and be on, you know, the email lists that are querying and such from the website. So please consider doing that. It's a great way to make sure that you are able to know what's going on. All right, and I want to say thank you to Tom and Grace and Regina and David, because they all have been so excellent in helping prepare for this and also for yesterday's session. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
All right, well, we'll see you all later.
Pepper.